So let's go take a look at how we actually build a PHP program and connect to the database. So I have this already partly set up here. You probably have a similar directory somewhere. First thing you got to do is you got to create a new PHP file. So click on that, file create, and let's call it load bruins.php. Whatever you want to call it, doesn't make a difference. So it's going to create an empty file, load bruins.php, and then you need to type in the code here after you click on it for connecting to the database that you can find in the slide deck. Let's go ahead and copy that from the slide deck. So let me go ahead and paste it in here. Just going to be very careful about making sure that we close our PHP properly. So the key part here is that your PHP script has to start with this and has to end with this. Everything in between that is considered to be PHP and a PHP programming language. So I set up a couple of variables here. A variable is something that holds a value. So in PHP, the variable names always have a dollar in front of them. So $server name is the variable called server name. But I call it server name, but because it's supposed to point to the server in which your database is located. So you got to remember, you got to take that from your PHP admin. And if you don't don't remember that anymore, you can of course click on hosting tools. I would recommend though that you maybe start up a new tab for this. So you can have two tabs simultaneously. You can kind of switch back and forth between them. So I have one tab here that shows this and one tab that gives me my element here. So my host name here is this right here. That's correct. I got that. I got to grab my database here properly. So let me copy that. Let's bring it over here. That's my username also, by the way, and my database name. And that was my password that I set up. And the port number is 3306. That's correct still. So then I can create my connection. You do that by using another variable called con. Again, $con is because it's a variable. And then calling a function. This is a function that's pre-built into PHP called MySQL for MySQL interface, connect, and then you got to pass the parameters you set up in that particular order. It has to be the server name, the username, the password, the database name, and the port number in exactly that order. In fact, you can just copy and paste this exactly the way it is. So this allows us to figure out if you can connect or not. By the way, of course, we've got to put in an else in here. If we didn't connect, then maybe we should put in a message that says something like connection successful. We can delete this later on. Echo is a very important function in PHP. Echo actually takes the string that you provide and echoes it back, meaning it sends it back as the HTML output back to the browser. All right, so we save this. Now, how can we test this? Well, it's actually quite easy. Grab this part right here, copy it, open up another tab, blank tab, and then put that in here into the URL. And if you run it, you should see the output if the connection was successful. Well, it was not successful. I messed something up here. So we got to make sure that we do this correctly. So I must have probably typed in the wrong username or use a password or something like that. So let me go ahead and figure this out. And I found that I didn't have the complete string for the database, and for the username. I had to grab the correct ones. I only grabbed part of the digits there. So let me save that again. Let's go back to here, refresh this, and connection was successful. Now I know that I'm connected to the database. So now the next part is to actually retrieve the data from the database. We'll do that next.